Hey viewers, Peter there. Welcome to this episode. It is one of the episodes under the context of social foundations and the perspective of law from the African purview. Today's topic is self-evident. It explains, it speaks for itself, as we can see on the screen. African customary law system. I would like to deal with three items that are contained within this topic. The first, what is referred to as African. Second, customary. And third, legal system. Well, viewers, it is a question of us explaining certain things that would dispel the wrong notion that has been put on Africa by some authors, some people who are also professionally in depth, that Africa has never generated anything worth looking at. This is wrong and shouldn't be the case in the 21st century. It is not the case today for the youth. It is not the case today for the legal practice. Neither is it the case for our young students that are preparing themselves to become future lawyers, future jurists, future legal scholars, and as well as future judges. It is good, first of all, to deal with the issues as they come. Africa did not receive the idea law from its colonizers, from the European imperialists. The word law was not unfamiliar to the traditional African communities. It was so familiar to an extent that Africans lived in politically organized units. Some were larger. We had empires in Africa. We had kingdoms of various types, chieftainships. We had Africans organized and dealing with their issues. There is no way one can make an argument that Africans did not have the law. Well, rather, Africans had the law. There is no way we can imagine a human society sticking together, coexisting, carrying out their activities as usual, relating to one another, doing business, engaging other people in trades without any element of a legal structure. Law is not anything new to the African traditions. This brings us to the best understanding of African customary law. Let me deal straight away with the concept of customs. Customs are those practices that people repeatedly use and adhere to in their communities within given times and within some areas. But when such customs generate into some normative structures and they carry with them principles, whether moral principles or legal principles, they are principles. And when people stick to such principles in a uniform manner, and such principles are also sanctioned by certain authority, recognized authority, and issued, and punishment is given to anyone who disobeys them, then it carries with itself what is known as the bindingness of the law. When the law is binding, its members or those who are there to it, then we call it a legal system. We call it something legal, something binding. That means if you don't do it according to the norm, then some consequences shall follow. Agreed on this area of law, and this is what we call opinio juris. That means in Latin, opinio juris means the consensus among many people that that opinion has some legal elements in it. And with that agreement and consensus, it is considered law. The fact that it's customary, it only puts it in the category of literature, that it has not been codified. It is not in writing. The Romans talked about lex scripta and lex non scripta at the same time. That is, written law and unwritten law at the same time. This enables us to talk about the existence of the dichotomy of law, both customary law and the statutory law. They move side by side to make the society move forward. The failure or the negligence of one can generate into problems in the society, in the social system. And law being part of the social control system par excellence, we cannot dismiss this notion of the dichotomy. Now, when we say it is a system or it is a legal system, this explains the uniformity. That means it is holding together because there are some subsystems. Every group, every organization has got its own customary law. For instance, in Kenya, almost the 47 ethnic groups in Kenya, each one of them has got certain customs, traditions, and practices. They have belief system, they have some patterns, as well as they have their legal system. There are some rules to be followed by all members of the community. If well organized in a manner that they can generate the bindingness and they can generate into sanctions and enforcement within such communities, then it becomes customary law. For instance, we have Nandi customary law, Turgen customary law, we have Gusii, Kisii customary law, we have Korea customary law, we have Kikuyu customary law, we have Kamba customary law, Masai customary law, Luo customary law, and Digu customary law, and so forth, even the Giriama customary law. The practice of customary law is very active and self-evident, especially in the northern part of Kenya, the northeastern part of Kenya, the eastern part of Kenya. Pastoralist communities, most of them still adhere to their customary law other than the formal state law system. This is enough to give us evidence that these customary law systems are also part and parcel of the family known as legal systems. So when we teach legal systems, we do not only stick to Roman civil law system, the Anglo-American common law system, maybe religious-based legal systems, Islamic law system or Sharia law, we as well make clear reference to African customary law as a regime. Now, within the African customary law regime, there is a system that includes also the administration of justice. Somebody holds the position of the judge. There is somebody that decrees this law, the author, the legislator. But also we have law enforcement authorities. And we find this happening in a well-structured and systematic pattern that can again convince us to conceive that African customary law is law by all its senses, from the broader sense of looking at social foundations of law. If anything, the legislators or the lawmakers sitting in parliament are elected periodically after every 5 years to represent their constituents. Each one is carrying with himself or herself some cultural values, and such values are also customary values. The evidence to this has been seen in the debate surrounding how to harmonize the marriage law in Kenya. Marriage law has taken a lot of time of the legislators and the government to come up with harmonized book of law, the statute, that would put all marriages into one book. Well, now we have Marriage Act of 2014, but all the same, the act itself, the statute, does not still capture the entire practices that involve and surround marriage and vis-a-vis the family law. That means we are not yet there. Some people still marry according to their customs, according to their traditions, and they have fidelity to such customs. They don't need to have those customs in written form, but they know such customs from their own communal systems in which the community can tell the rules, the norms, the principles that must be observed by members. The failure to observe such principles and norms can amount to some punishments or some measures that will impact on the individual. This one allows us to speak with passion about African jurisprudence, African law. Today, the jurisprudence is seeking its ground on the cultures. Alternative dispute resolution system is looking for such traditional mechanisms that African people have used successfully to settle matters, to settle their disputes. And parties find solace, find justice and remedy, legal remedy, through such traditional processes. Last but not the least, it is about the cultural heritage. It is about the pride of the people. But remember that the international human rights law, among its covenants, has got a ruling, a provision on the right for each human being to enjoy his or her cultural practices. So it is not prohibited, it is not illegal, it is not primitive, it is not uncivilized, it is not illogical, unscientific to address issues pertaining to things and areas that make us what we are. African customary law is the basis of the legal knowledge, especially for African students who prepare themselves to be future practitioners in law in terms of advocates, jurists, magistrates and judges, leaders, administrators, and professionals. It is not too late for African scholars to re-embark on the African legal wisdom, African courts. We have seen what Gacaca courts did to the after-genocide judicial processes in Rwanda. The communities embarked on their systems. Truth, reconciliation kind of systems where justice is seen by the communities to be done. So many cases in the Republic of Kenya are thrown back to the communities by the courts, not because they cannot come up and create something to craft justice, but it's just the wisdom of the court to realize that there is customary justice that also need to be taken care of. Access to justice is not limited only to seeking justice in the formal court. It includes as well settling disputes and differences using traditional mechanisms that have been in existence from time immemorial. Thank you for watching. I wish you the best. Subscribe, promote this kind of lectures. University of Nairobi, School of Law, Kisumu campus. I'm Peter. Thank you.